Hello friends, in this video we'll be discussing about Hardy-Weinberg Principle, also known as Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium, because this is the principle in which the population attains equilibrium in case of gene pool when we talk about genes. This principle states that allele and genotype frequencies in a population will remain constant from generation to generation in absence of evolutionary influences. The evolutionary influences which need to be absent to attain the equilibrium in population will be discussed later on in this video. And here we see only two things came into work, that's Mendelian segregation and genetic recombination, or we can say allele recombination. Such a population which obeys the above condition is said to be in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, named for the British mathematician and German physician respectively, who independently developed this idea in 1908. Now first of all, let's try to understand what these frequencies are, allele frequencies and the genotype frequencies. And you might be aware of the fact that what allele is. If you do not know what allele is, the link slide is in where you can find out what allele is. Now let's take an example of any chromosome on which an allele is present on its Q arm, as you can see in this diagram. On that portion, or you can say on loci, it has got an allele for skin color. And let's call this allele a dominant one, that's A in uppercase. And within the population, let's say there are 100 individuals with the same allele at same loci. So how many times this allele A will occur at same loci within the population is the allele frequency or relative frequency of an allele. And not only allele frequency is there for Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, but also genotype frequency condition is there too. In genotypes, we have dominant or recessive genotype, or we have homozygous or heterozygous condition. To understand the genotype frequency, we take a homologous pair of chromosomes on which two different alleles are present, like this shown in the diagram. One allele is the dominant A allele, the other being the recessive allele, A in lowercase. Both the alleles represent the gene for skin color, as allele is the alternate form of a gene. We see the three different conditions occur at genotype level. AA genotype, the homozygous dominant one, the second being the uppercase A and lowercase a, that is the heterozygous condition, and the third one is A in lowercase, which is the recessive condition. And when we put forward the symbols for Hardy-Weinberg equation, we denote frequencies of these genotypes with P and Q. P for dominant allele while Q for recessive allele. The frequency of first condition will be denoted with P, second with PQ, and third with Q for recessive ones. This Hardy-Weinberg's equation will be discussed in detail in next part of the video. Now we see when these all three genotypes remain constant from generation to generation within the population, the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium exists. And it's only when evolutionary influences are absent, which also acts as a conditions for Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium. Evolutionary influences must be absent so that Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium exists. In that case, when Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium exists, there is no evolutionary change within the population, because these evolutionary influences tend to change allele and genotype frequencies within the population. When these evolutionary influences are absent, that means change in allele and genotype frequencies are also absent. That means there will be no evolution within the population. So the population can be said at equilibrium. That's Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. The first evolutionary influence that must be absent to achieve Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is the mutation, because mutation can change the gene pool at a greater pace. So when mutation is absent in a population, there would not be any change in allele or genotype frequency. Second influence that must be absent is the non-random mating, which implies that there should not be any sexual selection within the population. Third important condition that was put forward by Hardy and Weinberg was that there should not be a small population. Rather, to achieve equilibrium in population, it should be large. Then the fourth process that must be absent is the immigration, which will stop the individuals of one population to get into the other population. So basically, there should not be any gene flow. because gene flow changes the frequencies of genes. The final condition which should be absent is the natural selection. So when all these set conditions are absent within the population, we can say the population is at equilibrium, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. That means no evolution is going to take place in that population. So this is all about Hardy-Weinberg principle or equilibrium. Its equation will be discussed in next part of the video. I hope you like the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe this channel. Thanks.